Hi and welcome back. Today I am going to be doing my makeup while I review the Natasha Denona Tropic palette. I got this in a little over a week ago. I think Saturday it came. So I've been using it for a week straight. I've done 4 different eye looks with this, and I have some thoughts. So I'm going to do my eyeshadow, that way you can see the product in motion, but first let me go over it. And I've noticed people are saying that the shadows like wiggle around whenever you have your brush in there, but they're magnetic. So these little dots, those are also, you can pop the shadows out. I just use a little push pen, and I wanted to show you guys that the pans are the same size as those in the Lila palette and even the Star palette. I know that it says that there's 1.5 grams in each of the shadows, but that's the lowest weight size. They have to put the lowest weight size in the shadow. Does that make sense? So I don't think that every single one of these is 1.5 grams, but I'm thinking that like the shimmers are the lighter weight shadow. Does that make sense? So I popped out Nudist from the Tropic palette. I'm going to show you that it's the same size as the shadows in the Lila palette. The pan, I have hit pan in Juno, so I can tell that like they're the same depth and everything. I know that there's a controversy going on about the weights of these shadows, but she did change her formula. It just weighs a little bit less, and I'm pretty sure it's for the shimmers, because the mattes feel pretty much the same. Like whenever I dig my brush into them, they feel like the same hardness almost. Maybe in the Tropic palette they're a little bit lighter feeling, but I don't have a problem with the weight issue. The volume in the pans is exactly the same. And for the normal consumer, they're not going to use up the entire eyeshadow pan anyways. So the weight thing, it doesn't bother me. But yeah, so this palette, I was really excited to get. I ordered it like literally the second that it came out on Beautylish, and I got it within a few days. But the color scheme is really cool. And the way that she designed this is that way you can make an entire look going up and down, you know, vertical rows. I know it's really neutral. Up here there's some like pinky coral neutrals, and then you have like your basic brown neutrals, and then this bottom row is really super bright and colorful. Gusti is really pretty. It's got like these bluish teal shimmers in it, and I really love it. Limoncello, I'm gonna say, is my favorite. It's really kind of a unique shade, and it doesn't come off too yellow on the eyes. I will say that whenever I first started using this, I didn't like it. I was mad at it, and I was like, man, what is going on? But I was trying to use the metallics down here, specifically Tiger Lily, and it just wasn't doing anything for me. So I did the chat thing with Beautylish, and I was like, man, I'm not getting this palette to work. Do you have any suggestions? Because I was thinking about returning it. So the girl gave me some suggestions. She said that if you use like Max Mixing Medium, which is this liquidy stuff, it helps to make the colors more vibrant. You can either put the mixing medium down on your eyes, kind of like a primer, or you can mix the shadows together and it turns them like, like say if you take a pigment and you wet it with Fix Plus, it does the same thing. So I did that, and I was a lot happier with how the metallics worked. I also took a piece of tape to Tiger Lily and kind of like just took off that whole top layer, and it works a lot better now. Mint Frost, once I dug into the shadow, I was like, dang, this is awesome. I used Mint Frost on top of TooFaced glitter glue. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Limoncello and Gusti also, I had to kind of dig into it a little bit. Think of, is it Cube and Electric in the Subculture palette? Like once you get past that top layer, they're pretty nice. So my thoughts have changed on this palette. I went from not liking it to actually understanding what she did with this new formula, and I can appreciate it. I'm going to say that I still like the formula of the Lila palette better, mainly for the metallics, because Those ones are so easy to use. You just put your finger in the shadow and pop it on and they're beautiful. These ones have that dimethicone feel. Think the Makeup Forever shadows, the singles, and they pop once you get them on the eyes, but working with them's a little bit more difficult. So I think that the mattes in this are great. They're really, really pretty. So I'm just gonna do my eyeshadow. Yesterday I used Peach Puff, Nudist, and Mint Frost, and I really liked how that look came out right here. So I'm thinking I want to do something a little bit different. I haven't used Sangria yet, so I'm kind of feeling red, and then I'll use Vintage Taupe. So this is the Chikuhudo GSN 10. I love this brush. It's just like a pointy crease brush. I'm gonna go into Vintage Taupe. There's a little bit of kick up, but it's not bad. The other palettes, like the Star and the Lila, they do the same thing. I usually go in with a light hand first, place the shadow where I want it, and blend out from there. These mattes seem to be a little bit softer than the Lila palette, and they blend out easier than her other matte formula. I really like the mirror on this palette. It's really nice. And I'm not one to really care about mirrors, but oh, I forgot to mention, I prime my eyes with MAC's eyeshadow primer, and then I put down a layer of Painterly Paint Pot, and then I set that with my Brûlée Wet n Wild eyeshadow. Something that I always do. Because I have veiny eyelids, so it covers up the veins and gives me a clean canvas. Occasionally I will take my brush and wipe it on my microfiber cloth just to get some of the pigment off. I find that that works really well. And then I can go back in with very little to no product on the brush and blend it out. Using the Sonia G Crease 1 brush, it's a really pointed tip crease brush. I'm going to take that and just barely tap it into Sangria, and I'm going to put this in my crease. In my deep crease, I should say. I like this brush because it literally sits into the socket of my eye, and it's really precise. These Sonia G brushes are really nice. About the same price point as the Wayne Goss brushes, maybe a teensy bit more, but the quality of them is nice. The feel of the handle is amazing. And then using the Chikuhudo brush, I'm going to just blend that out a little bit. And go back into Vintage Taupe. Put this on my brow bone a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to do some lower lash line work, and then I'll finish up my inner corner. Taking the same crease brush and Sangria, I'm going to apply Sangria on my lower lash line. gonna use a Wayne Goss number 20 and blend that out a little bit with a little bit more pigment on the brush. Using Too Faced glitter glue, I'm going to put just a teensy bit on my finger, like just the littlest bit amount. Littlest bit of, is that a word? And I'm going to dot that and blend it onto my inner corner. That. And using this ColourPop flat brush, I'm going to go into Gusti. Oops. And dab that onto my lid. I noticed that this takes a little bit more work than, say, with her older formula of shimmers, but the payoff is just as pretty. And putting Gusti on top of Sangria kind of changes the color. And it gives it like almost a natural gradient. I'm gonna go back in with Vintage Taupe on the little Wayne Goss number 20 and put that on my lower lash line again. A little bit more blending. Go back and forth between placing the eyeshadow, blending, etc., etc. I find that the more I blend, the happier I am. It just kind of looks better. And once the shadows settle into my skin and kind of set, I really like it. I found that Limoncello right here, the yellow, is similar to Juno in the Lila palette, where it shifts just a teensy bit to pick up whatever color you're placing it next to. I think it's really neat. I will say that I do get a little bit of glitter fallout on this area using Limoncello, but I tend to like it wet for a more intense yellow look. Dry is whenever it just picks up the other colors. I've never seen a shadow like Limoncello, and I really like it. I'm using Alkaline from Urban Decay. This came out with the Fire palette, Heat palette. I really like this. I'm gonna line my waterline and my upper waterline. Okay. I'm going to go finish off this eye. I'm going to put on some mascara, and I will be right back. Alright, so I did my mascara. The mascara I've been using lately is the Monsieur Big from Lancome. I had gotten this from Octoly. I love this mascara. Those lashes. Yes. Okay, so here's up close. You can see the glittery bits. I don't know if you can tell on my under eye, there's a little bit of glitter. Part of it is from the Hourglass powder that I use. It's got some shimmer to it. I like shimmer, so that doesn't bother me. But yeah, you can see that it blended out nicely. I like it. My final thoughts. Even though I started off not really liking this palette, like you can ask Emily or Elle, I was Snapchatting them like, I don't like it. And I was mad at it. And I had even put on my Instagram that I just was kind of meh about it. But once I got through that top layer, especially of the shimmers and the glitters, I was like, okay, I can see what Natasha Denona did with this palette, and I can appreciate it, and I really like it. That said, I don't think that you need this palette. I'm not one anyways to be like, go out and buy this or your life is gonna be ruined. No, I never tell anybody to go out and buy something, you know, because that's just not me. If you are in the market for this palette, then I would say give it a chance, because it is a good palette. There's some like different types of reviews. It's kind of like the subculture where there's like really good reviews and then there's really bad reviews. I personally like this. Puffin's wife did a review, which I'm going to link down below. It was a really good review. She also has swatches on there. I'm not going to swatch this because you've probably seen the swatches of it 50 times over. Go watch Puffin's wife video. She is normally a Natasha Denona lover. Like, she loves Natasha Denona eyeshadows. But she was meh about this palette. That said, again, the colors really aren't that unique, but I actually really, really enjoy them. I was noticing though that there are some very similar shades, not exact dupes, but very similar shades in the Star palette, such as the peaches right here. Those two are really similar. This one right here is pretty close. This one looks a teensy bit like the taupe that I used. Is it Nude Taupe? On my brow bone area. So there are some similar shades in here. And then in the Subculture palette, I'm a mess. There's Dawn and Roxy, which are really, really similar in tone to the corals in the Tropic palette. So if you have that one, or even any other palette, honestly, then you don't need the Tropic palette. But if you like Natasha Denona shadows, I think that you'll like this one. Like I said, my thoughts have changed on it and I'm really happy with it, and I'm actually not mad at it anymore. And I get mad at eyeshadows, but whatever. I haven't used Xena or Laguna yet, like in a full eye look. Honestly, they scare me just a teensy bit. I'm afraid of looking like Mimi from that show, you know, the lady with like the great big blue eyeshadow. I just have to figure out how to make it work for me, but they're really, really pretty colors. I did play a little bit with Xena on my eyelid just after I had taken off my makeup one night, and it blended out nicely, but I just don't know how to use it. Just really weird for me. Mint Frost is gorgeous. Really, really pretty. It is super similar though in tone to the mint color, what is this one, Ice Blue, in her holiday palette. So, I mean, there is that, but I like it. I'm gonna keep it. I'm not on the fence about it anymore. I really do like her shadows. If you like glitters, Gusti and Limoncello are like really, really pretty. Like real pretty. And the mattes are nice. Those are my thoughts. I would definitely suggest though using a glitter glue. I know NYX has one, or some type of mixing medium for the metallics, just to get them to like stick on your eyes. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Use them wet, using water or Fix Plus, something like that, and I think that you'll be happy with it. Okay, so those are my thoughts. Thanks for waiting for this one. I didn't want to like just do first impressions because then I would have had to have gone back on my word. Because like I said, I didn't like it in the beginning, but I've come around to it and I can really appreciate what she did with the shadows. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful for you. Those are my thoughts. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.